Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm my fucking L.
Baby, I can see your halo. You know you're my saving grace.
Welcome to episode 212. The Doctor is in.
Woo!
Is it Dr. Isaac Yankum?
It's not that doctor.
I might appreciate it more if it was.
Aww.
Yeah. The Doctor is in.
The Doctor is in.
Turn your head and cough or whatever.
I am. For a large southern man.
I'm good to go.
There you are.
So this is the only Doctor is in, produced by ECW.
Thank God.
It would take place on August 3rd, 1996, from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with an attendance of 1,400 people.
Bum, bum, bum. I don't know if I'm stepping on you, but there was basically, I think they called it an internet convention, a wrestling convention in Philly this weekend. So it might be why the Doctor is in, and why that this is the only one of these shows, as opposed to your November to Remembers and your
I think we could probably spoil it, because we're going to spoil it as soon as we get to the drink.
Yeah.
The Doctor is in is Dr. Death Steve Williams. And he happened to be in town. Or they booked him for this show at least.
Yeah, and it makes sense for him to be in town for a convention. Plus, they just had Terry Gordian, and, the two men are synonymous.
So, He's the Doctor that is in.
Boy, are we in for a show. Dr. Death, Steve Williams. My favorite of favorites.
I've kind of already leaned into that you made us a drink, Shane, so...
Yeah.
Take it away, brother.
Well... Obviously, as we've said, Dr. Death, Steve Williams. I'm not even going to go into that. I did what I do, or culinary trip around the world, because it's a Dr. Death, Steve Williams
Philly.
show.
We're here.
Yeah, so it's Philly. It's Dr. Death. I figured this calls for alcohol. I looked up to see if there was any Dr. Death related drinks, and there was one called Dr. Death, sometimes known as Dr. Kevorkian. I think the Dr. Kevorkian one may have been a little better, which kind of ties into the whole I hate Dr. Death Steve Williams fact.
Don't tell JR.
Sorry, JR. Love you, but I hate your boy. Yeah, Dr. Death Steve Williams, not my favorite. Basically just a professional wrestler known to be from Oklahoma, and that's about it.
He's a large man. Supposedly he did some great stuff. Or was
NCAA All-American.
Popular in Japan, but I haven't seen those matches. Yeah. And they're not the Steiner brothers.
No.
They're just not. Him and Gordy were never the Steiner brothers to me.
But the Dr. Death is, again, not what I expected it to be. It is basically just Dr. Pepper and gin. I was hoping for an alcohol flavor, which I guess, again, ties into the Dr. Death factor of I always hope that it's going to be a good match when I see him in the ring, and then it's just lose interest.
He's big.
Kind of like this drink here. I don't really taste the alcohol much to it.
I don't taste the alcohol.
I took a sip before Matt hit record, and I look over at Shane and was like, is this Diet Coke? Because it tastes to me like Diet Coke.
Literally,
and now that it's
gin just kind of takes the sweetness of the Dr. Pepper away.
Yeah. It kind of takes away. It takes away, at least 10 of the secret herbs and spices or whatever of the Dr. Pepper.
The Dr. Kevorkian apparently is Dr. Pepper and vodka, which I'm sure you'd probably be able to taste the vodka in it more than you're tasting
Dr. Pepper is such the weirdest soda for booze.
Yeah. So, it's ice cold. It is refreshing, but it falls kind of flat, just like Dr. Death Steve Williams in the ring. It tastes, ice cold and falls flat.
Tastes kind of flat too.
Yeah.
I think it killed the bubs.
So, thanks, Steve.
Let's see if I can bring up our moods a little bit.
Okay.
A couple films would be released to theaters the week before. Joe's Apartment and Kingpin.
Oh, shit.
I watched Kingpin recently. Joe's Apartment I have seen. Back when you were a kid and if you went to the rent a movie, they would have like just a bucket of like posters, and they'd be like in rubber band. They would like write what it is, like at the bottom corner. I took one as a kid, and it was Joe's Apartment. I put it on my wall. I hadn't seen the movie, but I thought it was funny because of the cockroaches and like the toilet and all that. And Joe's Apartment, not the worst bad like 90s comedy, but it's not nearly as good as Kingpin.
No.
That poster?
Yep, that was that one. Yeah, the little cockroaches.
Yeah, I as somebody who used to be the person behind the counter where people were renting Joe's Apartment and other movies, I also had one of these posters on my wall.
It's a really good poster. It's a really good comedy movie poster.
Yeah, because I got a lot of our first pick on when we pulled the posters down out of the little Blockbuster light up frames.
Yeah, the clippy ones.
My apartment or basement apartment that I had, it was done up Christmas lights all around it, and then there was. I basically made it look like Blockbuster walls. Put the lights around the posters as well, just to accent everything. And
swapped them out. What was your favorite that you got?
Ooh,
it's probably tough because you had like pick over the litter.
Yeah,
I can tell you my favorite one.
What's that?
Because the podcast name is inspired by it.
American History X.
American History X.
Yeah.
That poster was a great poster.
I had that one as well. And it's going to be...
The 7 poster was good.
Yeah, what was like the favorite one that you took that you kept, like that you kept the longest maybe?
I had Good Will Hunting.
Oh, okay.
Was up forever. LA Confidential was up forever.
I had LA Confidential as well.
I don't know. Muriel's Wedding was one. I think that was one of the first ones that I got after I worked at Blockbuster. And, I mean, it's a great movie. Made me fall in love with Toni Collette. Made me fall in love with Rachel Griffith. Introduced the world to Jude Law. It's a great movie if you've never seen it.
Yeah.
Joe's Apartment.
I had the V for Vendetta. It wasn't the main poster. It was like the art piece poster.
Oh, yeah.
That was really cool.
I think the only movie poster I had that I like purchased at like a record store that sells like incense or whatever was a 2001 poster where it was like the trippy colored eyeball with the baby fetus in the middle. It was like a re-release poster from like 70 instead of 68, but the Joe's Apartment was the one that I got for free out of the bucket.
Hell yeah.
But nice.
Did you ever watch any of Joe's Apartment on MTV?
I later on, I'd seen it. When I had the poster, I hadn't seen it yet because I was a kid, and then I've seen it since then. And I remember being like, like charming enough. It's probably like 80 minutes long. Doesn't need to be any longer.
Yeah.
Whereas Kingpin, I think, is too long, but it is good.
No, I mean yes, it's good, but too long.
You know what my issue with Kingpin is that it's not as good as Dumb and Dumber. It's after Dumb and Dumber. It doesn't have quite the laughs. Like it doesn't, but it's not going for the same kind of laughs either. But I mean, it's good, but I feel like it's a better cable movie than it is like put the disc in or like click on it on the streaming service.
And see, it's the one that when I go back and watch a lot of the Farrelly Brothers, yeah, that's one of my favorites of theirs. Just because each time I watch it, I think I like it a little bit more.
I can see that.
And cast-wise, I mean,
great cast.
Old, what's his nuts? Randy Quaid
obviously
is
the second best Randy Quaid movie of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, Randy Quaid is the glue of that movie in a movie that has a great cast. Like
you got him.
Woody's wonderful.
You got Bill. You've got
the really pretty
what's her
lady.
face
I don't know
from
who she
Weird
is.
Science,
Vanessa
the TV
Angel.
show. Yeah,
She
was so hot.
She was so. I mean, I was like, who is this lady? She's hot. I don't know.
She played on Weird Science, the TV show. She was the.
Oh yeah,
girl
she took Kelly LeBrock's
Yes.
spot. Yeah, God, Weird Science, maybe one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Probably one of my favorite Chris Elliott performances because he was the gambler.
In this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chris Elliott rules.
I had to start thinking for a second, like, wait, was he in Weird Science?
He's like, no, he's not in Weird Science. Weird Science is a movie I watch like almost every year. I love it. For some reason, it just like turns me into a cackling hyena. But yeah, I mean, Kingpin's definitely the better movie. Joe's Apartment is forgotten to time, but every time I see a pink urinal cake, I think of Joe's Apartment.
You gotta love old Lynn Shay in another Farrelly movie performance. The landlady or whatever for...
Oh, yeah.
There's something about good sex that just makes you have to take a shit.
That lady's fucking great. She might have the biggest laughs in the movie.
Yes.
I haven't watched either one of these movies in so long. Like,
I just watched Kingpin a couple.
Joe's
weeks
Apartment. I think I've only ever seen the movie one time.
It's a.
I mean, I remember being disgusted at Joe's Apartment. I think the first because like it's fucking cockroaches. So it's like,
yeah.
But see, I watched the
Kingpin's really gross too.
I watched the little TV snippets that they had on MTV that led to the movie, and it made it, I think, easier for me just because I was already in the know.
It's the first MTV production film, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's its biggest claim to fame.
Yeah, because then I think shortly after Joe's Apartment was Dead Man on Campus.
Maybe.
I think that was another MTV one with old Mark Paul Gosselaar, and I can't remember the other guy's name. That Thing You Do guy.
Freddie Prinze Jr.?
No,
That Thing You Do.
Tom.
Oh.
Yeah, him.
Tom Everett Scott.
There we go.
Okay. I was like,
I'll get there.
yeah. That Thing You Do.
I think he's in that one anyways.
And see, I'm also
Steve Zahn?
for Kingpin. Like, I'm not a Fairly Brothers guy. Like,
Oh, yeah.
their style of comedy just wasn't for me.
It's a little
like,
too wacky for you?
I don't like Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, that hurts me.
Like-
That makes me angry. I love Dumb and Dumber gets funnier every time you watch it.
And see, I mean, I was a Hot Shots and
I mean, I love
Airplane
Hot
and that
Shots
kind
and
of
Airplane.
slapstick, stupid humor.
But yeah, Dumb and Dumber is
I
still
mean,
my
see, I
favorite
like
movie.
those,
Yeah.
but that's not Fairly Brothers.
Oh, man. Dumb and Dumber is so good. What an
They
incredible
inspired the
soundtrack,
Fairly
too.
Brothers.
I mean, they inspired, but it's a completely different style of comedy.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
See, I hated the Naked Gun movies. Like the first one, I'll take that back. The first one I liked.
I think 33 and a third is the only one I ever saw. The one where he's
I gotta mix
That's the
up.
one where he's an umpire, right? It's 33 and a third.
I think.
It's the only one I've watched.
Yeah.
I watched them all like on TV, so it's like they get mixed up in my head.
Our new fan's gonna be so happy we're talking movies right now.
Well, let's move on to some wrestling. We get title, date, and location cards flying in before going to the arena, where Sandman is in the ring, having just caned JT Smith, Stevie Richards, Blue Meanie, Supernova, and Don E. Allen doing a Kiss parody, singing I Want to Rock and Roll all night.
And do you know why?
Why they were doing that?
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue.
Because Kiss was back on tour at that time.
Oh.
Yeah, they had the big tour going on. I only know that because when I was at Blockbuster, one of the managers was going to see Kiss. And it was around this time.
Yeah, it was a big deal. They hadn't toured in a while, I take it.
Yeah. I think it had been many years.
Raven then comes out along with Lori Fullington and her son Tyler. And we see Raven's foot is in a cast. But he does get in the ring, which allows Richards to sneak in from behind with a Stevie kick to the back of the head of Sandman. Raven then grabs the kendo stick and cracks Sandman over the head, busting his eyebrow open.
Damn it. And here we go.
We then go to our first match, which isn't really a continuation of what that all was.
We get our cut. You've all watched ECW like pay-per-views or tapes or whatever. You get the TV cut, like you change channels or the channel was down.
Dangerous Devon Storm with Damien, Kane, and Lady Alexandria versus Mikey Whipwreck for the EWA European Juniorweight Championship. And Storm looks to have the precursor to the Hurricane gear.
Yeah,
I was all like, is that where Shane got his
stand back?
Gear from? And we'll mention it now because Alexandria is looking smoking hot.
She's in a sheer jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can basically see the
Everything.
yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Everything.
You can see some crack through all that sheerness.
Sheer crack.
But the match gets going, and they go for some chain wrestling to start, until they exchange head scissor takedowns, which dumps Devon out to the floor, followed by a slingshot corkscrew somersault senton
Kick his
by
ass,
Whipwreck.
Mikey. Kick his ass.
Damien comes over and starts kicking Mikey while he's down, before they head back into the ring, where Whipwreck gets dropped with an electric chair drop for a 2 count. Storm hits a snap suplex for a near fall, and works a modified figure 4 into a bow and arrow, before delivering another head scissors takedown and a cannonball kick for a 2 count. Devon then locks on a gory special, which is basically stretching Mikey on his back. But Whipwreck reverses it into a sunset flip for a near fall. Storm responds with a clothesline and starts working the neck of Mikey, when Kane would throw a chair into the ring. And Devon sets up Whipwreck on the turnbuckle and looks to do something high risk. But then he just drops down and throws the chair out of the ring, allowing Mikey to recover and leap off with a flying clothesline for multiple 2 counts. Storm regains control with a throat thrust, sets Whipwreck across the ropes where Damien gets involved again, before Devon just kicks Mikey out to the floor.
I feel like Storm threw the chair out of the ring just to not give the fans what they want, for heel heat. I was like, oh, that's nice of him, but, who's not cheering Mikey Whipwreck in this arena?
Storm with a baseball slide kick, a front suplex of Whipwreck across the guardrail before setting up a chair for Mikey to sit on. That was nice of him.
Right?
Devon then climbs back into the ring to run and leap back onto Whipwreck with a somersault plancha. Oh my God! Back in the ring, Storm makes the cover, but Kane orders him to break the pinfall to hurt Mikey some more. So Devon heads up top for a moonsault. Devon still wants more punishment, so Storm heads up again, only for Whipwreck to fall into the ropes, causing Devon to crotch himself. The 2 men fight over control in the corner, with Storm going for belly-to-belly superplex, only for Mikey to reverse in mid-air to land on top for a near fall. Whipwreck with a Franken Mikey for a 2 count. He then climbs up to the top for a crossbody for the pin, and no! Kane jumps in with an elbow drop, but Mikey moves in time, causing Devon to take the blow. Whipwreck with a missile drop kick to Damien, followed by a top rope Franken Mikey to Storm for the pin and the win. Post-match, Mikey uses a chair across the back of Devon to clear the ring.
Devon Storm's not good.
No.
It's like he can do stuff, but he's not good at chaining it together, making it look natural, or working with Mikey Whipwreck. Everything's very stilted. It's like, yeah, he can do the moves, but I don't know if he can wrestle.
Yeah, see, I remember people talking about Devon Storm, but I never understood why I heard his name so much, but I'd never really watched him either.
I mean, my assumption is he can only get better from here, but it was just something that I noticed. Is like, this feels very like practice match.
He does get better, but he also moves more towards a complete hardcore style.
Yes.
Once he gets to WCW full time, has a different name.
That's when I was introduced to him, and it was like, okay, this one
And the guy's still wrestling now.
Wow.
So
good for him.
I don't know how.
No hate. It was just like, oh, this feels very stilted.
Yeah. Yeah, he...
Very stop and go.
I think he found more of the correct character for himself once he got to WCW, but the early Devon Storm was just like cosplay, kind of.
Yeah, because Mikey does this stuff, and it's sloppy, but it's kind of part of who he is. He's this gritty underdog. He's he's kind of like, what if Tommy Dreamer never picked up the chair and stopped caring?
So we go to our second match. Louie Spicolli versus Johnny Smith.
And I was like, huh.
Who?
And this is Johnny's ECW debut, but he's best known for his time in Stampede and All Japan as the tag partner Dynamite Kid.
Well,
when Davey Boy wasn't around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's about to show, because this is a real good time.
So it's back and forth to start until Smith is backdropped over the ropes to the floor, with Louie following out, only to be run into the guardrail. But he then catches a charging Johnny with a hot shot into the steel. Back in the ring, Spicolli hits a bridging German for a 2 count, a leg drop, and several holds, before going for a running splash, only for Smith to get his knees up. Johnny with chops and a knee to the gut, followed by a drop kick from the top rope, and a clothesline for a near fall.
And these are big, strong boys moving with fucking speed, doing big moves on each other and recovering to do more big boy moves on each other.
Yep.
This is good. This is good stuff.
Louie gets a boot up on a charging Smith, but he then runs into a power slam for a 2 count. And Johnny with some European uppercuts and a wicked-looking arm drag. But Spicolli reverses a whip and delivers a spine buster for a near fall. Louie then nails a bridging Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count. He then rolls to the floor to grab a chair, but as he returns, Smith kicks the chair out of his hands and hits a top rope elbow drop for a near fall.
I mean, this is gold.
Johnny then goes for a vertical suplex, but Spicolli counters into a small package for a 2 count, with Smith responding with more European uppercuts, only for Louie to counter a third one into a backslide for a near fall. Spicolli then tosses Johnny to the ropes, but telegraphs the backdrop, allowing Johnny to deliver a tiger driver for the pin and the win.
My God, what an explosive match!
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of shit I like to see.
Yeah, Louie in the 2 matches that I've seen him in has really impressed me.
Yeah, and it's like these guys fucking totally get it. These guys are fucking wrestlers, like capital W, big boy wrestlers.
Yep.
I wonder now, did Davey Boy and old Johnny ever team together? Just
I don't think so.
On an
'Cause I
offshoot?
don't think Johnny never made it to WCW. I don't think so.
Okay.
It's truly a shame that this is like the first time we've seen Johnny Smith because he's fucking great. I was like, cool, Louie Spicolli versus Johnny Smith, and then I was like, fuck me, this
So I wonder
rules.
with the Johnny Smith name, were they trying to say he was Davey's brother or something? when
I
he
mean, I think that was
teaming with old
the
Dynamite?
idea
Yeah.
back in Stampede. I want to say Johnny wasn't with us
Much longer.
longer.
That's
And say I already know one of these in the ring isn't with us much longer, but that's a bummer if it's both of them.
yeah. I also love that
Oh no. Okay, so 2003 he collapsed and was rushed to a hospital. It doesn't really ever say, but basically he retired at that point.
yeah.
And he's a police officer now. So.
I love also at the end, like Johnny puts his hand out for, shake hands with the big strong Louie Spicolli, who he just pinned, and Louie Spicolli reluctantly just slaps his hand and leaves with his head down. Not necessarily out of disrespect, but disappointment in himself.
Yep. Kind of I'm gonna get you next time.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. It's like, oh, these guys are not like ECW staples, so you don't. It's like it's anybody's game here, but we have seen Louie Spicolli before, and the whole match it feels like it's anybody's game, and you're actually interested because they're beating the hell out of each other.
Yep.
And moving so fast for how big they are, and like with, with much agility. Good stuff. Damn. If only ECW always looked like this.
So we go to our third match. Axel Rotten versus Devon Dudley. And both men make it into the ring with Devon holding a chair.
And we're already getting Devon sucks chants.
And the ref attempts to get Devon to rid himself of his chair. So while this is all happening, Axel ends up going out to the floor and grabs a chair of his own.
Hey man, if you're not going to drop it, I'm going to get one.
That's right. An eye for an eye, a chair for a chair, baby.
And once they're back in the ring, chair duel.
Chair duel. I always want to say dueling chairs. Chair duel.
Potato, tomato.
Which leads to both men taking shots across the back. All of a sudden, Bubba Ray, Sign Guy, and Chubby Dudley make their way out to the ring, with Bubba hitting Devon over the head with a chair, all while Rotten just looks on from a corner.
I mean, why get involved?
Devon retaliates with a low blow to Bubba Ray, allowing him to nail chair shots to Sign Guy and Chubby. And Bubba then retaliates, and the two end up brawling in the middle of the ring, with the brothers trying to separate them to no avail, only to receive more chair shots to the head. All of a sudden, Big Dick Dudley comes out, with Devon threatening to hit him with a chair, but instead just heads out to the floor, where Devon makes a partnership with Axel to team up. And they start to make their exit, only for Bubba Ray to fly over the ropes with a plancha onto them, causing Devon's head to bounce into the guardrail, followed by Rotten grabbing Devon, and they run to the back. So I'm going to call this one a no contest.
Yeah, sure.
Because it never really started.
It was a bunch of nasty chair shots to the heads of Dudley brothers.
I
Yes.
swear, if we get an Axel Dudley on the next show, I'm gonna be mad. give me a Devon Rotten at least. We've got enough damn Dudleys for the moment.
No, I think it'll be Devon, Axel versus Bubba, Big Dick, probably. I don't know for certain, but...
No, I just mean name-wise.
Name-wise.
okay.
Too many Dudleys.
I mean, Rotten Dudley would be his name, not Axel Dudley.
Rotten Dudley's good.
We then see Raven, along with his motley crew, make their way out to the ring.
Talk about Tyler and Louie.
Raven says he won't be defending his championship tonight because of his injury. Todd Gordon comes out. He's the commissioner of ECW. And he tells Stevie to tell Raven the bad news. That Richards has to defend his title for him.
If you're not going to fight, we're going to take your second.
I mean, Gordon says he promised the fans a title match. And they're going to get one.
Damn right.
And so Raven loses it on Stevie, dropping him with a DDT. Go to our fourth match. Stevie Richards with Raven. Louie Fullington, Tyler, and Kiss versus the Sandman for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. So the champion was out first. Foreshadowing.
Oh, Stevie, here we go.
And Sandman comes running out, dropping Kiss with cane shots, while Raven pulls Tyler in front of him in the corner.
That dastardly Raven.
Which stops the Sandman, followed by Richards nailing a Stevie kick to the back of the head for the pin, and no! Sandman kicks out. Richards now uses the kendo stick to work over the Sandman, tearing the bandage off of his head and delivering right hands that bust the Sandman open.
Oh my god, he's busted open.
Stevie then telegraphs a backdrop, allowing the Sandman to hit a DDT and cane shots of his own for a 2 count. Richards is dumped out to the floor with the Sandman following out to front suplex Stevie onto the guardrail before leaping off the apron with a guillotine leg drop across the steel. Richards is rolled in, followed by the Sandman nailing a slingshot somersault leg drop for a near fall. Stevie then hits a low blow on the Sandman, allowing Raven to throw the belt into the ring to use across the face. Blue Meanie jumps to the top rope, or climbs slowly.
He doesn't quite hop up there.
Only for Sandman to recover and knock Richards down to the mat, causing him to take the Meanie Salt for a 2 count. Sandman then tosses Stevie to the ropes and he misses a clothesline, allowing Richards to deliver another Stevie kick for a near fall. And Meanie climbs into the ring again, but Sandman escapes with low blows to everybody before poking Blue Meanie in the eyes and tossing Richards towards him. But Meanie doesn't realize it's Stevie, so he hits a Tiger Driver on him, with Sandman making the cover for a 2 count.
It's so funny. I guess you would do things quickly, but I imagine when you put either of those men in a Tiger Driver, it feels very different. Sandman's quite a bit bigger.
Quite a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Supernova is now on the top rope, and he leaps off, but Sandman just avoids, causing Nova to land a flying leg drop onto Richards for a near fall. Sandman's now tossing Stevie corner to corner, nailing chops, before running into a big boot in the corner multiple times. The two men then charge at each other with clotheslines, only for the ref to be in the middle of it.
Ref bump.
Raven then limps his way into the ring, trying to pick up the Sandman, when Missy Hyatt would run down and jump on his back, pulling his hair. So Louie would come in and hit her across the back with a boot. And Raven then tries to do the same to Sandman with that boot, but he ducks, and he drops Raven with a DDT. And Sandman collapses because of the blood loss, but pulls himself together and grabs his cane, only for Raven to be shielded once more by Tyler in the corner.
Dastardly Raven.
Richards now has the loaded boot, and he cracks Sandman across the back of the head, with Raven shoving Stevie out of the way to make the cover as the ref crawls over for the pin and the win.
Missy was there at this convention to probably sell some vulgar videotapes.
Possibly. I mean, she did have a glow up from the last time that we saw her. You know, she was wearing more flattering clothes.
She was.
While they did still have a slutty sex appeal to them, they weren't the gutter trash stuff that she was wearing before.
Yeah, she definitely looked a little better.
Yeah,
I don't know when she actually.
She had some
started selling
extensions, or at least a clip-on ponytail or something to give her the.
The gay man did notice the extensions. I was just looking at her boobs.
I was just thinking, I was like, oh, well, I mean, Missy hasn't been here in a while, but she's like, I'll make an extra $50 when I sign and take photos with the fans.
Yeah, she kind of stopped showing up after he tried to pimp her off to the Pitbulls, didn't she?
Yep.
Yeah. So we go to our fifth match. Lionheart, Chris Jericho versus Too Cold Scorpio. And the two men stare each other down before starting the match with some chain wrestling, followed by mat wrestling, with both locking on different submissions.
There's a mix of cheers and jeers for both men, which, you know, is interesting. Too Cold, been here for a while. These are smart fans. There's an internet convention. It's ECW. And Jericho hasn't been here for super long, but they all have those junior tapes.
They then go into a test of strength.
Do it!
That turns into an exchange of monkey flips, followed by Too Cold nailing a drop kick and an arm drag. But Jericho comes back with a crucifix pin for a 2 count. The two then run the ropes and do some tilt-a-whirls that ends up with Lionheart delivering a drop kick and several arm drags to send Scorpio out to the floor to regroup. Back in the ring, Too Cold hits a low blow and an axe kick to gain control. Continues with a leg lariat, only for Jericho to fight back with a pair of kicks and a vertical suplex.
And we start to get a Bischoff sucks chant, and I'm like, okay, is Chris Jericho or is Too Cold Scorpio going to party with Ted?
I mean, I think you know the answer.
Yeah.
It seems like it's Chris Jericho. Because, I mean, Scorpio was already there, and he miffed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He was a miffer then.
And
Scorpio also looks like he dropped a good 15 pounds recently. Because they used to do the, you know, call him too fat or whatever. It looks like he, you know.
He was a slim, trim,
I mean, probably when he was sick, he probably lost a few pounds.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, you know, he had less of a belly here. No shade, just saying.
Jericho then follows up with a slingshot body press for a near fall. And Scorpio goes to the low blow again, nailing a T-bone suplex, but makes a lazy cover for a 2 count.
It was a weak T-bone suplex as far as T-bone suplexes go anyway.
Yep.
He then allows Lionheart to pull him over for a crucifix pin that gets a near fall. Too Cold continues with a pair of scissor kicks that sends Jericho out to the floor, where he takes his time to recover, but before being dragged back into the ring by Scorpio for a bulldog that gets a 2 count. The two then start to run the ropes, with Too Cold delivering a thrust kick that puts Lionheart against the ropes before charging in, only for Jericho to backdrop Scorpio out to the apron. And Lionheart tries for a springboard plancha, but the ref was in the way momentarily, allowing Scorpio to duck, sending Jericho crashing out to the concrete.
And the crowd screaming, "You fucked up! You fucked up!"
They won't let anything pass here.
Lionheart's dragged up to the apron, where Too Cold runs the ropes to hit a handspring backflip kick that sends Jericho flying off into the guardrail. Now back in the ring, Scorpio continues to dominate with a powerbomb and a top rope guillotine leg drop for a near fall. Too Cold with chops, a whip to the corner, and charges in, only to be backdropped out to the apron, where Lionheart finally hits that springboard dropkick, knocking Scorpio down to the mat, followed by a missile dropkick from the top rope. Jericho would bring Too Cold in the hard way before hitting a tiger bomb for a 2 count and chops in the corner. But Scorpio would reverse a whip, sending Lionheart to the opposite corner, where he would leap up to the second rope, but Too Cold follows in with a dropkick to phase him.
I mean, that's a fun spot.
Scorpio then leaps up for a sunset flip powerbomb for a near fall, but he telegraphs a backdrop, allowing Jericho to deliver a DDT and go for the lion salt, only for Too Cold to avoid, so Jericho jumps onto Scorpio's shoulders for a hurricanrana for a 2 count.
Are you ready? Chris Jericho yells out, and as only Chris Jericho can.
Baby!
Lionheart goes for another tiger bomb, But Too Cold reverses it into a head scissors takedown, followed by a body slam and heading up top for a moonsault, only for Jericho to move. And Lionheart then leaps off the second rope with a splash for a near fall, before the two fight atop a turnbuckle, with Jericho being shoved off to the concrete. Scorpio then flies off the top turnbuckle with a double axe handle, but Lionheart hits a kick on his way down. And Too Cold then goes to bring Jericho into the ring with a vertical suplex, only for Lionheart to flip through and run the ropes, nailing a shoulder block to down Scorpio. And Jericho finally hits his lion salt for a 2 count, followed by Too Cold reversing a suplex into a DDT before heading up top, where Lionheart knocks his feet out from under him, causing Scorpio to crotch himself. And Jericho climbs up to hit a super power slam for a near fall. Continues with a running senton and heads up top once more for a corkscrew splash. But Too Cold moves once again. Scorpio then nails a tombstone, followed by a top rope shooting star press for the pin and the win. So a couple fun notes here. As Scorpio's coming off with that shooting star press,
It's very scary.
right behind them in the crowd, you can see a young child and his dad. That young child is one Tony Khan.
Oh, that's crazy. Didn't see the kid. I did see that shooting star that was a little close for comfort.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, he pulled it off better than Brock did. But it was definitely scary.
I'll have to go home and pull that up on the TV just to see if I can see a little TK.
Yep.
I did see the guy in the front row with the Jethro Tull shirt on. I was like, that's a very funny thing to have.
You can see his dad, but I mean, you can see the kid, but then if you look next to him, you'll see a guy that looks like Shad, and that's how you can tell that it's basically TK. That I mean, he looks like he has the same hair, but
yeah, I mean, he looks like it's like the one Middle Eastern looking man in the crowd, like ZCW guys.
The other note is, as you mentioned, this is Chris Jericho's final match in ECW.
Yep, I figured it out at the pin because I was like, who's it gonna be? And then when Chris took the pin, I assumed he wasn't sticking around.
Poor guy loses his TV championship, then gets pinned. Now he's gone.
Hey, he's off to more money. We can say bigger and better things, but it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, bigger and better
Definitely
things.
all the bigger and better things.
It'll be a while. Few years before bigger and better things.
Yeah, that's why we went to more money.
I mean, he'll have a list of some sort.
Oh yeah,
that man's got too long of a list as far as I'm concerned.
We get to smell some good cooking here in a few years.
We get Joey Styles in the ring, and the Pitbulls make their way out with number 1 in a Halo neck brace.
I hate to see it.
Baby, I can
and we mentioned it on the last show that
I get it now.
Shane Douglas had given him a DDT that had broken a bone in his neck.
Fucked him up.
I love the dad shorts plus neck halo.
And we see Pitbull 1 with a very serious demeanor.
Yep.
He explains the specifics of his injury, saying the doctor has told him to never wrestle again. But he says he won't ever give up. Because a Pitbull never gives up.
That's right. And I'm going to raise my glass here to old Mr. Gary.
Oh, yeah. Gary.
To the Pitbull, number 1 in all of us.
Gary.
But we then get our 6th match. Pitbull number 2 with Pitbull number 1 versus the franchise, Shane Douglas, with Francine for the ECW World Television Championship.
That stupid harlot Francine. I can't remember what he calls her. But something along those lines. But he's
Harlot,
pissed.
Jezebel,
Yeah.
Trollop.
Trollops. We're going to go with Trollop.
So the franchise comes out laughing about Pitbull 1 before the announcements are made, with Bob Artiste doing the introductions for the Pitbulls. But then Joel Gertner interrupts, grabbing the mic away. And he insults Artiste before doing the introductions of our champion. And basically at this point he becomes Douglas's personal announcer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember, Alonzo and Taz made him the announcer for for ECW a couple shows ago.
Yeah, he's our
Douglas's personal ring announcer. So
yeah, he's our heel announcer, and like
exactly,
he's like pushing him out of the way and stuff, and like Shane Douglas and Francine are like mocking neck injuries and stuff as they come in, just smiling like the shitty heels that they are.
So Francine distracts Pitbull too, allowing Shane to take advantage, ramming number 2 into a turnbuckle, only to be no-sold and return the favor repeatedly. Mm-hmm. The franchise then reverses a whip, but he telegraphs a backdrop, allowing Pitbull to hit a brainbuster and a neck breaker as the crowd chants, "Break his neck! Break his neck!"
Yeah, but I love that Joey Styles points out Shane Douglas's pitiful WWF run, just because, you know, Joey Styles is he's the voice of the people.
That's right. And I appreciated that as well.
Yeah.
Of them.
Joey Styles doesn't get worse, right? I mean, maybe at some point, but like he just kind of gets better. He's so good.
He is great.
He's great until, I mean, even when he makes the WWE transition years later, he's great all the way through until he walks off the air.
Yeah. Can only take so much, and I mean,
and then
this guy was
just as great for that.
Yeah, he's been calling this shit in the basement.
But he was there before Vince was talking to people's ears, like 90% of the time too. So.
Yeah, yeah. Joey Styles isn't one to.
Yeah, Joey Styles made it to WWE and was voted as best commentator by the fans because
he's fucking great.
He spoke for the people to the people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So number 2 continues the punishment with a spike pile driver for a 2 count. And he starts cranking on the neck with a guillotine choke, only for Douglas to escape by ramming the Pitbull into a corner. Shane ends up telegraphing another backdrop, so number 2 delivers a DDT and goes back to working the neck by just trying to twist it off.
Crank it off. There's a guy in the crowd eating a Frosty. It was very fun. You brought that from home?
Pitbull drags the franchise out to the floor and throws him into a guardrail before giving him a pie to the face. And we're in ECW, so it didn't shock me.
Yeah.
Followed by a chair shot. But Douglas retaliates by crotching number 2 on the railing before using a chair multiple times himself.
I wouldn't have an issue with the chair spot if it wasn't such like a heavy heat match. Guy got a broken neck, doesn't know if he's going to wrestle again. Francine just turned. Shane Douglas is, you know, him and Taz are the biggest heels in the company. And then the pie spot is like, this isn't the place for it. Save it for when New Jack comes out or whatever. But outside of that, this is all very good.
Shane then clears off the timekeeper's table before tossing the Pitbull into the guardrail and the ring post.
Posted.
Followed by setting number 2 on the table where the Pitbull fights back. And the 2 men end up fighting over a chair as the brawl heads into the front row before they head back into the ring where the franchise comes off the top rope with a double axe handle. Only for number 2 to catch him and start whipping Douglas from corner to corner.
Just, you know, give him whiplash, break his neck. Cave his chest in.
Pitbull then charges in with a spinning heel kick, only for Shane to move, sending number 2 tumbling out to the concrete. Now back in the ring, Shane is stomping away on the Pitbull, all while Francine and Gertner antagonize number 1 on the outside.
Yeah, I got very cringy every time I saw Pitbull number 1 at ringside, just because I know none of them are going to intentionally do anything, but there's too much of a chance of accidents happening, and I was very worried that something was going to happen.
This is the point when, like, because the last episode I said he was in the Halo, but I was like, I don't know if the Halo was actually necessary or if it was just to draw heat.
No.
Because, like, if you're in a Halo, should you be at ringside?
Absolutely not. But that's also he's a pit bull. He's tough as a pit bull.
ECW in the 90s, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
That was it's possible that he actually did, but like me personally, I'm like, I have a Halo on. If I get hit at all, I'm done for.
Yeah, but he's
As
but that also is the thing where
be pimping out your crew to give blowjobs to get guest stars.
Missy Hyatt was giving out blowjobs anyway, so. So the franchise rolls out to grab a chair.
The $50 riot, Missy Hyatt.
Allowing number 2 to recover and leap off the top rope, only for Douglas to avoid, sending the Pitbull crashing into a guardrail, busting him open. Shane then threatens number 1 with the chair, but he goes back to work on number 2, running him into the ring post.
Posted.
Pitbull's then dragged into the ring with the franchise delivering a vertical suplex, a shoulder block, but all for 1 counts, as number 2 begins to rally. When Francine tosses Douglas her bracelet, and Shane wraps it around his fist, cracking the Pitbull over the top of the head for the pin, and no! Number 2 kicks out.
And I don't know, just meet me here. The man is a mess. Pitbull's 2's head is...
Gush.
Yeah, he is a crimson ghost.
Crimson mask.
Yeah.
Franny then distracts the ref, while the franchise pulls a chain out of his boots and wraps it around his fist for another blow to the head. For the pin, and no! Pitbull kicks out again.
Damn right he did.
Pitbull.
Francine then hands Douglas a chair for a running chair shot, followed by a pile driver onto the steel as well for a near fall. Number 2 then Pitbull's up. Press slam, clothesline, another press slam, all for 2 counts. He then tries for a third press slam,
He yells out.
but the blood loss causes him to lose his balance.
He's a little lightheaded. Somebody give this man a cookie.
The franchise works over the cut some more, gouging it with his fingers until Pitbull shoves Douglas off to a corner. Now the ref comes over and checks on number 2, while Franny wraps another chain around Shane's fist
3-chain Douglas.
before distracting the ref once more, allowing the franchise to take the Pitbull up to the top turnbuckle with mounted punches. Number 2 then grabs hold of Douglas for the super bomb, but Shane blocks and drops the Pitbull with a pair of belly-to-belly suplexes for the pin and the win. Post-match, Gertner props his foot on number 2 as he announces the franchise's victory. And Douglas and Francine head to the back when the Pitbull would recover to superbomb the ref and Joel.
That's right. Suck it, Gertner.
What you get for acting a fool.
So much Pitbull blood.
Yes.
Great shit. Pitbull does stand tall in the ring, even though he took the loss. I mean, the crowd was hot as hell for this match, as they
Should be.
should be. Yeah, because Pitbull is the most loved underdog at the moment in this company.
Yeah.
The largest underdog, too. I mean, come on. Who wants to fuck with Pitbull, too?
Not I. So we head to our 7th match. Taz and Primetime Brian Lee with Bill Alfonso and Team Taz versus Tommy Dreamer and Dr. Death, Steve Williams
Woo.
with Beulah, McGillicutty in a Dream Partner tag match.
Do you know anything about this dream partner
Brian
situation?
Lee dreamed of tagging with Taz.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
I
Lee.
just made it up. I just made it
It was Lee versus Dreamer, and they were like, "Find anybody you want, your dream partner."
Yeah.
And Lee's like, "Well, Taz is undefeated, guys.
I mean, yeah.
he's fucking a badass. I mean, he'd be my dream partner."
Tommy is obviously taking too many frying pans to the head.
So the last time we saw Dr. Death was at Starrcade 92, episode 80.
That was a good 4 years.
Yeah.
It's been a minute,
I assume he's been partying in like all Japan or something, and we just
Yeah.
haven't watched it. Yeah.
basically. And Fonzie takes the mic to remind us all that the human suplex machine is still undefeated, before calling out Heyman and Sabu. And Primetime attacks Dreamer from behind to start us off, but Tommy responds with a neckbreaker, causing Lee to tag in Taz.
I mean, and Dr. Death did get big cheers and a Dr. Death chant, so, you know.
I mean, he's an attraction because
Yeah, he is an attraction.
he's not around. So, and the two men go back and forth until the human suplex machine lands a bridging Northern Light suplex for a 2 count. And Taz then calls out Williams. So Dreamer tags him in, only for Primetime to again attack from behind, which leads to a brawl with Tommy taking the human suplex machine out to the floor. And Dreamer throws Taz into multiple guardrails before dragging him to the Eagle's Nest, while Dr. Death and Lee exchange right hands back at ringside and into the crowd. And Tommy sets up 3 tables side by side before taking the human suplex machine up to the balcony, where he slams Taz through one of the walls.
I mean, pretty sick, but
Yep.
I was just like, there's no way Taz is going to go through 3 tables. But he went through the wall.
He went through the wall.
He went through the wall, so good for him for doing that.
Williams and Primetime have now made it to the nest as well, with Lee being forced up to the balcony, where Dreamer looks to DDT him through the tables below. But the human suplex machine has recovered enough to T-bone suplex Tommy through the tables.
Release T-bone suplex, because Taz does not fall out of the Eagle's nest.
Oh my God!
I mean,
As both Beulah and Alfonso are standing stunned inside the ring.
it's a pretty scary fall.
Fonzie then turns and drops McGillicutty with a clothesline before celebrating, allowing Beulah to retaliate with a kick to the balls. And the two start having a slap fight, when Dr. Death would make his way back to the ring to press slam Alfonso over the ropes onto the Team Taz guys. And the human suplex machine has made his way back to the ring as well. So we finally get the matchup that we've all been looking for,
Taz squares off with Dr. Death,
where they give us a mat wrestling lesson for all to see. And Taz looks to hit a T-bone suplex, but Williams counters into a Dr. Bomb, making the cover, only for Primetime to break it up. Now the human suplex machine and Lee double team Williams until Tommy makes it back to the ring with a trash can, while Dr. Death has delivered clotheslines to his opponents. Dreamer then goes for a DDT to Primetime onto the trash can, but it's countered into a chokeslam for the pin and the win.
And it's over.
That's all you had to do.
The doctor's out, y'all.
That's all you had to deal with, the Dr. Death.
Wasn't
You're
that
good.
bad?
You're
Exactly.
It was fine.
Doctor has
It
left
wasn't
the
him
building.
doing a Matt Hammerlock for 6 minutes.
We got to see him do some mat wrestling, which he's good at.
Yeah.
Because he was NCAA wrestling champion. We got to see him do a Dr. Bomb, which is his move.
Yep.
What more do you want from this guy?
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even want any of those.
They booked it right. They booked it right though.
They
Yeah.
did.
Give them flowers. Well,
And they didn't put him in the main event, which...
was surprising but appreciated.
We then go to our 8th match. The Eliminators of Perry Saturn and John Kronus versus the Bruise Brothers of Don and Ron Bruise versus the Samoan Gangsta Party
Ugh.
of Big Matty Smalls and Sammy Silk versus the Gangstas of New Jack and Mustafa Saeed in a 4-way dance
Yay.
for the ECW World Tag Team Championships.
14 elimination match for the title, I believe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The champions came out first.
Uh-oh.
Foreshadowing.
I'm putting my money on the Samoan Gangster Party.
I'll take that money.
Yeah, let me just pay you now.
So as soon as the Bruise Brothers hit the ring, the brawl is on, with Perry hitting a sunset flip on Dawn for a 2 count, followed by a body slam and a top rope headbutt for a near fall. We then get a short clip from earlier in the night, showing the Samoans being arrested for attacking the Gangstas, to explain why they still have handcuffs on when they hit the ring.
Yeah.
Also, an excuse for them to be the first ones pinned, so they don't feel so bad about themselves.
Jeez, spoilers.
Right.
Come
No,
on,
as soon as
guys.
they,
Come on,
As
guys.
soon as that was announced on the show they were arrested earlier, they're still in handcuffs.
No.
That was like, oh great, eye roll. If I wasn't already eye rolling enough at this match, just from the start of it, because I've addressed I'm sick of
We
seeing
all
this
have the
shit.
same feelings about this. I was already pretty checked out, but I did my best.
Yep.
So the music hits, everyone throws up the X, and out comes the Gangstas with a trash can full of weapons.
And the music plays for the next 5 minutes.
Yes.
And New Jack uses a trash can lid on everyone until the Samoans can grab a baseball bat to use on Jack, while Saeed works over Saturn with turnbuckle smashes. Kronus is thrust kicking Ron several times on the floor, while Don's helping the Samoans with New Jack, until Perry tosses him out and follows out with a slingshot plancha. And the Bruise brothers and Eliminators begin to brawl through the crowd, while the Gangstas and the Samoans work over each other around ringside. And Mustafa uses a stereo over the head of Sammy, tries for a headbutt, but we know that won't work. Kane is then climbed back into the ring to grab a chair to use on Saeed, who's being held by Silk, only for Mustafa to move in time, causing Sammy to take the blow. And Mac Daddy is knocked from the ring by Saeed, who then turns to make a cover on Silk for a 2 count. Mustafa with a big boot to Sammy, followed by New Jack coming off the top with a 187 chair shot for the pin. And the Samoan Gangsta Party is eliminated.
Thanks for coming.
So Ron jumps in the ring and starts laying out the Gangstas, sending Jack out to the floor where Perry starts brawling with him, making their way to the front door and out the building. And Don and Kronus join them outside, only for Saturn to toss the Bruise Bro onto the hood of a vehicle, followed by Perry leaping off the same truck with a flying knee. Saturn and John then ram Don and New Jack into the gate of a different truck before heading back inside, where Saeed's choking Ron inside the ring, when Perry blindsides him, which brings everyone back to the ring. And the Bruise Bros team up for a double big boot to Saturn. They do the same to Kronus, and then Don starts working over Mustafa and nailing him with a big boot, allowing the Eliminators to recover, who deliver a total elimination to Don for the pin. And the Bruise Brothers have been eliminated.
Who'd have guessed it?
The two teams that have been feuding this entire time with these other two teams that no one cares about?
Yeah, it's like almost as if they could have just had a tag team match between the two teams that anybody cared about.
Makes too much sense.
I agree.
Too much sense.
Yeah.
I agree it's too much sense.
So, then the Samoans breaking away from jail would have just been totally, wasted.
I mean, I don't know if they were arrested
Can we actually get them locked up and just leave them there?
Yeah, I'm not all for, unreasonable incarceration, but...
At least give us, 3-minute warning or something.
See, I'm wondering if old Rosie's looking over at Devon Storm at one point going, that's some good gear over there. I'm gonna have to remember this.
Oh, is that blue and yellow? That looks nice.
So Jack makes his way back to the ring, and he's all busted open.
No, Jack.
With John hitting a clothesline in a corner on Saeed before tossing him out to the floor. And the Eliminators set up New Jack for their finisher.
Oh my god.
But Jack pulls Saturn into Kronus' high kick to avoid. And then Mustafa power slams John, followed by the 187 chair dive from Jack for the pin and the win.
What?
And new!
As if we haven't seen it coming for the last 6 months.
Post-match, the Eliminators argue for a moment until the Gangstas jump them again, tossing them out of the ring.
You gotta clear that ring.
But the Eliminators arguing makes me think that whole Saturn and Kronus thing that I talked about the last show might actually be a thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
a little seed.
I mean, what are the chances it's worse than Actually and Rotten?
It depends who the winner is, I guess.
I mean, but I'm just saying, at least these guys can do impressive things.
Yes.
As long as the right guy's the winner and moves on to something good.
Yes. I mean, let's just hope.
We got ideas.
Yep. We then go to our 9th match. Rob Van Dam versus Sabu in a stretcher match.
You know that the early internet fans are in town because they throw out the streamers. Those crepe paper streamers for Sabu, like they're in Japan or something.
I know, I was like, is this the first time we've seen the streamer treatment?
At least in ECW, I think.
I mean, maybe we've seen it on a Japanese show.
Yeah, but it's normally for smaller Japanese shows that you would see it.
Yeah.
Maybe. But either way, seeing them do it for Sabu, it's like, oh yeah, these are our smarks, if you will. Because that's a very, Japanese thing. I think that within the last couple of years, they even did that at Stardom and stuff.
I mean, the last place I saw it was ROH, but basically that was before COVID, because obviously can't bring streamers in anymore.
Yeah, also ROH got murdered by COVID.
Yeah.
Until it was...
resurrected by one Tony Khan.
Yeah.
A child at this show.
He is the, he is the real personal Jesus for ROH.
Yeah, Tony Khan seems like a nice guy, but he's not as good as that Depeche Mode song.
Is there which Depeche Mode song?
Personal Jesus.
Oh, gotcha. I missed that whole part before.
Sorry.
I'm like, wait,
Yeah, that was the reference I was
Yeah, that was
making.
reference he made. It's like, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, I like the guy, but he's no violator.
So the two men have a feeling out process to start, when RVD would start nailing different kicks and a springboard leg drop. But the homicidal one would kick him right back before working the leg. Sabu begins to fire up with a springboard leg lariat and a slingshot headbutt. But he telegraphs a backdrop, allowing Van Dam to nail a double underhook piledriver. Woo! He goes for a slingshot, only for the homicidal one to catch him with a drop kick in midair to send him out to the floor. Sabu then follows out with a slingshot somersault plancha before setting up a table that bridges the apron to the guardrail.
That's his new favorite thing. I would say Sabu's
Good place.
favorite thing.
I mean, that's why
jumping
they moved that
off
front row up a little closer, just so I could hold the tables.
Yeah. Favorite thing, jumping off of a chair. Second favorite thing, hitting somebody with a chair, but in an interesting way, and not just over the head. Maybe putting it under his leg or his arm. And then currently his third favorite thing is bridging a table between the steel and the apron.
So the two slam each other's heads into the table before RVD springs off the apron with a back kick, followed by slamming the homicidal one on the railing before hitting a guillotine leg drop.
Over the steel.
Sabu has fallen into the front row, and so Van Dam looks to join him, and the homicidal one just throws a chair right into his face.
Oh yeah, he's on the floor and he just grabs the chair that he probably collapsed and launches it up at the head of Robert Van Dam.
They head back into the ring with a chair in hand as Sabu sets Van Dam on a turnbuckle to nail a triple jump hurricanrana. But RVD chops at his legs when the homicidal one gets to the ropes, causing him to crotch himself, followed by leaping off with a spinning back kick that sends Sabu out to the apron. Van Dam then throws a chair onto the homicidal one before leaping off the top rope with a leg drop and calls for the stretcher to be brought out. And Sabu starts to be rolled to the back by Damage Control. But the homicidal one makes it back to the ring where RVD continues to dominate with kicks and a powerbomb. And Van Dam mocks a handshake before starting to work over the neck, taking him down with a leg sweep and a standing moonsault splash. RVD then heads up top, only for Sabu to meet him there. But Van Dam drops down to the floor, pulling the homicidal one's neck across the ropes. Yeek.
I mean, he's playing up the neck. We all know Sabu broke his neck.
RVD then tosses a chair into the ring, but it's drop-kicked away by Sabu when he's trying to get into the ring. Van Dam recovers to attempt a suplex from the apron, only for the homicidal one to counter by dropping RVD across the top rope. And Sabu maneuvers Van Dam where he's teetering on the middle rope with a chair set up under his head, before leaping off the top turnbuckle with a guillotine leg drop.
It's fun, but whenever someone's draped over the ropes like that, I'm like, it always takes too long. Mm-hmm. But it's still, it's cool, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
RVD rolls out of the ring right onto the table. So the homicidal one sets up a chair for the triple jump, only for Van Dam to try and springboard himself back into the ring for a clothesline. But he ends up tripping and falling face first to the mat.
I mean, that's fun. I don't know if it was purposeful or not, but it's fun.
I don't think it was purposeful fun.
Yeah. It's like I like when people recover from mistakes without redoing them in wrestling, because it helps it helps me personally get into it more. Like, suspend my disbelief a little bit further whenever somebody makes a mistake but recovers from it, instead of just like, oh, well, we have to do it again. It's like, never do it again.
Yeah. Sabu takes advantage by nailing a leg drop and a pair of top rope Arabian facebusters before calling for the stretcher. RVD is down the aisle before rolling off and returning to the ring.
And to that point, Sabu knew what to do, and it totally worked. It's like, yeah, he made a mistake, but it doesn't feel like a mistake because they treated it correctly. He took advantage, and now the man's on the stretcher.
The homicidal one hits a vicious clothesline, followed by a triple jump moonsault. And Sabu sets Van Dam on a turnbuckle for another triple jump, but the two men hit clotheslines in midair for a double KO. And RVD rolls out of the ring, but directly onto a stretcher, only for the homicidal one to say, "Not yet."
Not today, Buster.
As he sets the stretcher in place for an Asai moonsault, with Sabu's legs crashing into the guardrail.
Yeah. It looked like, yeah.
The homicidal one is then placed on a stretcher as well, with both men being rolled down the aisle.
How does that work? Do they have to, like, race to the back? Like Hot Wheels?
Only for Sabu to get up and leap off the railing with a leg drop onto Van Dam.
Crazy.
Both men make it back to ringside, where the homicidal one goes for a chair shot, only for RVD to counter into a Van Daminator, following it up with a moonsault press off of the guardrail. Now Sabu grabs a chair before heading back into the ring, where he throws it at RVD. Sets him on the top rope for a triple jump Rana, with Van Dam rolling out afterwards onto the table. And the homicidal one then goes for a triple jump DDT. But Van Dam counters it into a super fisherman's buster through the table.
He, like, catches him coming out with the DDT, but he's, like, catches him, like, Rob Van Dam's standing on the table, like, pops up on the table, but when he catches Sabu, like, Rob Van Dam's feet are not planted. He, like, hops up and catches him into that fisherman's buster. It's truly insane.
Yes. Sabu is then placed on a stretcher, but he fights to stay alive, rolling off of it and returning to the ring, where RVD continues to attack with a chair and strikes. And the homicidal one reverses a whip, sending Van Dam to a corner. And he goes for a springboard, only for RVD to do the same, with both hitting leg lariats for another double KO.
I mean, what a cute spot.
Van Dam goes for another fisherman's buster, only for Sabu to counter into one of his own. Then sets up the chair for another triple jump moonsault, but RVD is back to his feet. So he nails the homicidal one with the chair as he comes crashing back towards him.
Sabu just gets up just in time to lift that chair and use it like a shield.
Van Dam hits a spin kick that sends Sabu onto a stretcher, and they begin to wheel him out. But RVD gets greedy, and he goes for one more top rope somersault senton, only for the homicidal one to move at the last second. Van Dam is then placed on a stretcher and rolled out, making Sabu our winner, who celebrates as we fade to black.
The, sent on to the floor.
Ouch.
He got overzealous.
So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of The Doctor Is In?
3 matches worth watching. And 2 of them, I think, are great. And all 3 of them are good in different ways.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, aside from my constant bitching and moaning that it's a Dr. Death named show, there were some hot spots in it. I mean, you gotta love Mikey kicking off any show, even if it's against Devon Storm.
Yeah, what's your favorite match of the show?
Ooh!
I feel like there's 3 contenders, and
Scroll back through.
I guess there's 3.
That one didn't happen at all.
3 contenders.
That one I'm bored with already.
In my head, I might have to look back. I guess there's 4 contenders, maybe.
I mean...
1, 2...
I love me some Pitbulls. I love me some Pitbull number 2. Tag match was pretty typical. Yeah, I mean, between all of the ones that we have on here, the Shane Pitbull one, I don't know if it was because of the brutality in it, because of it pulling on my heartstrings, because of old number 1. But
no, I was right. There's 3.
that one was good.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like, Shane, like, that match is perfect for the character stuff. with the exception of the pie spot. Shane Douglas is on, Francine is on, Pitbull Gary adds to your like nervousness of it all. Pitbull 2 bleeds like a son of a bitch, and nobody wants to see him lose.
Yeah.
For me, this is top tier ECW.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a variety of match styles.
There is.
You literally get your suicidal spot fest, your trash brawl,
Yep.
your technical wrestling,
There might be a couple of them.
a European style match, and the Johnny and Louie.
Johnny and Louie is European, but it's also like it's big boy shit.
It is, but it's there.
But it's not. Like,
And-
it's not. Yeah.
And there's just storytelling throughout
The show.
every match.
Yeah.
Like
It is. It does catch
I
all
get,
the
I
things,
get.
but it
We
doesn't
always
flow as well.
we always complain about the 4-way dance, like those matches. It was like 12 minutes.
That's true.
It was quick. It was to the point.
Yeah.
It didn't overstay its welcome. I had fun with it, and
I can't.
and they
agree
finally
with the fun
came
part.
to a conclusion of the story.
That's nice. That is nice.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think once again, maybe it was the Dudley stuff that was the like least compelling stuff.
Y'all
on this.
know how I feel about the Dudleys. I'm totally out.
But that's literally because basically what they did on this show is the exact same thing that they did on the last show,
and
where
the show before that.
they're just hitting each other with chairs, and it's like, yeah, we
The story
get it.
needs to
Like,
move.
it needs to progress. I mean, now that we have Rotten, there might be
Yeah.
somewhat of we might actually have a real match next time we see these guys.
I agree with you that this does cover the scope of ECW very well, but the really good matches on here, like, this is not my favorite Sabu RVD match.
No.
And like, that's the thing where it's like, okay, well, we've seen quintessential shows where it's like, oh, well, this is the best match of these people. Like, yet. Even like Too Cold and Jericho, not my favorite match from either of those guys, but it's still very
It's
good.
a good match.
It's very good.
But like,
I mean, it's not even my favorite Pitbull Shane match.
no, not at all. But like, that's
But
the
it's
thing.
still
It's like
very good.
They're like the good matches are good, but I mean, I'll hold my my MVP, I guess. But it is good. But like, question: RVD Sabu broken ring match better than this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That match fucking rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things
They
where
had
it's
to
like,
improvise and figure out
Yeah.
how do we make how do we make this interesting for people. Other
and
than
there,
the
you
fact-
can see
I-
it. You
I
can
don't-
see them worn out.
I mean, I don't love stretcher matches to begin with, just
no,
because it's like
it's silly.
the point of the match is to
Murder somebody.
roll someone to a destination.
It's like, if you want to get somebody on a stretcher, like if it was like New Jack versus Mikey Whipwreck, you know what New Jack would have done? He would have grabbed a piece of garbage and cut his head open. And then he would have gone straight to the back because the man was bleeding and needed stitches. Because that's like a reason to use a stretcher.
But I mean, I guess the one good part about the stretcher match is that it kept them from going into the crowd too much.
yeah.
Because
That's a really good point.
If the point is to not be at a certain destination, then you're going to try and stay at the ring.
That is honestly the best point that I did not think of about this match, where it's like,
'Cause, like,
at least they stuck to the ring side. They didn't do a walk and brawl, which they did do in the ring match, in the broken ring match. But the broken ring match had a X factor to it,
Yeah,
in the
it's
fact
like
that these guys
broken ring
are
match had
wor-
a broken ring.
yeah, these guys are worn out and they're still trying to
Yeah.
do their best. So it just has it's a little more visceral, and it's not even a stretcher match.
I'm not saying this is the best ECW
No,
show.
no,
I'm just saying
yeah.
it's up there for me.
It
like
clicks all the boxes.
it clicks all the boxes
that they
for
have
me.
set up. Yeah.
It's got all the usual suspects of, you know,
And every match was completely
ECW.
different from another one.
Another good point. Absolutely.
except even though they had different outcomes and whatnot, the I'm bleeding so much that I stumble and fall
Oh yeah.
happened twice.
But if you're gonna bleed that much,
But yeah, it was two different level of people with two different levels of bleeding too.
Yeah.
also so you're talking about like New
Sandman and
oh,
Pitbull number
and
two.
Pitbull number 2. Yeah, both lost.
Yep.
But Pitbull did it with a power move. Sandman just couldn't make a cover.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, technically Sandman could just have been lazy.
I mean,
No.
Sandman lazy.
I mean, give him a beer, he'll be fine.
That's something I kind of miss. Sandman being fueled by beer.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right, fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So what are some of the best moments of this show?
Francine seconding Shane Douglas and being a real fucking bitch. When she was like the one lady that people were like, into. They were like behind her because they love the Pitbull so much. And now she's with Shane Douglas, who's an incredible heel, and she's meeting him on his level. She's not like surpassing it or whatever, but she's meeting him there, which adds to it in such a huge way.
Yep. I'm happy to see the Gangstas finally got some damn gold. And
it's taken too long.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm glad that it finally happened, but I'm not sure that I'm happy about what we're going to get.
So I don't know where we're going from here.
Me neither. But I can't imagine it's too different than trash cans and shopping carts and Nintendos and chains and cheese graters.
Did I mention Lady Alexandria was smoking hot?
She was looking good. Oh, no, I noticed her new gear.
The JT Smith kicking off the show. I love me some JT. Even if he didn't really get to do a whole lot of much, he was still there.
I think that is the one thing we're missing out of the, the fact this is checking all the boxes. FBI has been pretty involved, and they weren't here. But
yeah,
it's okay.
We didn't get the comedy spot, really.
But it's okay. They brought in, Dr. Death.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense that they need time for that. And he's a bigger draw than JT Smith.
Mikey's got gold again. We're at whatever EWA is.
I want to say it's like the European Wrestling Association.
Yeah, he beat the Dirt Bike Kid. They said it on commentary. He beat the Dirt Bike Kid a day or two before because there's this convention in town. So there was probably some other shows inside of hotel lobbies or something.
Yes, definitely there was.
Dirt Bike Kid is a fun name.
I think this is probably the only time we see that belt.
Yeah,
because he probably loses it before.
Probably loses it Sunday, and this show was on Saturday or whatever.
Yeah, the European Wrestling Association.
Yeah, they just give Mikey some gold, let Devon Storm get some, some work in.
An NWA affiliate, possibly.
I don't think so.
At this point, there's NWA affiliate means nothing, which is a shame, but it's true. I mean, for me, it's Spicolli and Johnny Smith. That's my favorite match of the whole night.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. And I want to see that all the time. And that's the wonderful thing about wrestling is that you don't see that all the time. But when it happens, those big boys being so ferocious and so smooth, but all the moves look meaningful, that's the kind of shit that I love to see. And it was basically Rick versus Scott Steiner. That's what it felt like. It was that good and clean and strong and ferocious, but it wasn't either of those guys, which is nice to know that there's people out there that have it in them.
Joey Styles.
I mean, I did notice that Joey was on fucking point.
He was on it, but he, as we've said throughout this show already, he speaks for the people, to the people, and he read the room and broke kayfabe for the people, referring to old Pitbull number 1 as Gary.
And the Gary chant.
Yeah.
So nice. I mean, Gary chant might be one of my favorite moments of the night outside of the singles match between Spicolli and Smith.
How about most disappointing?
I'm over the Dudley angle at the moment. It needs to move on. Just like we were talking about how the gangster thing needs to move on.
Yeah.
It's it didn't really build in any great way, but at least it's over now and it has to move on in a form or fashion. And the Dudley thing is the same thing over and over again, and I've just it doesn't mean anything to me. It feels like a waste of time. And I know that
it just feels like 5 people just getting their head cracked open with a chair.
Yeah. And it's not even a match or whatever. It's just it's calamity.
I will agree with you that Louie versus Johnny is a very good match.
I love it.
I will say that I was a little disappointed that Louie took the loss.
Because we've seen him before.
I mean, we've seen him before.
But that's a good surprise.
And I feel like he should be the guy you should be building.
Agreed.
Just for the sheer fact, obviously, in doing my research on Johnny, he does nothing else, really. this might actually be the only time we ever seen.
But I mean,
I'm not
they
sure
don't
on
know
that.
that at the time, so it's
yeah. True. I mean,
Yeah.
that is
The reason.
The reason. Like, they're hoping to have Johnny Smith in some more, probably. But knowing that we don't see Johnny, I mean, he doesn't ever make a name for himself in ECW.
No.
That to have him lose or having beat Louie Spicolli, who is there, it's kind of like the whole when Tarzan Godo beat Axel Rotten. Like, Axel Rotten's the ECW guy. Like, build your own guys up.
And Johnny Smith is like, I mean, Spicolli and Johnny Smith is like, I don't know who these guys are, but I want to see more of them, which is the most you can say for any wrestler that you see one or two times. Is like, no, I want to see this guy more, and I want to see these two guys more. It's like, who the fuck could these guys work with on this fucking roster outside of like Pitbull 2? It's going to be a good match.
I'll also say I'm disappointed that the network, Peacock, whatever you want to call it, couldn't at least found a replacement song for I Want to Rock and Roll All Night, so we could have seen that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why they were dressed up as Kiss.
Wow.
Yeah, because I couldn't figure it out, but I knew they were
I
dressed
got
as
to
Kiss.
see it on the thing. That
Is it on the thing that I...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We watched it both on the network.
I watched it on the network.
Yeah, because I was going to make a comment about it, but then I didn't see it in the notes, and was like, well, maybe it wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was, because they performed their little deal out there, and, what's his name?
Stevie.
Blue Meanie is the one who impressed me the most, because he's the one that seemed like he got into it more than everybody else that was out there.
I mean, Blue Meanie seems like a Kiss fan. From one Kiss fan to another Meanie, you know.
Yeah.
I would do karaoke with you.
I'm over the whole Raven thing. I'm bored with Raven. I need Raven to do something different and make it either exciting or something.
I mean, we
The
need
thing with
we need
Raven is that
Raven
he's
to.
dejected and boring.
I mean, we need
That's
Raven
like
to
his
not
character.
be injured, so we can actually do something instead of just wallowing in self pity.
But his character from when
all
he
he
first
ever
started
does.
was being the guy that wouldn't have the
But
match.
he's having to do it even more because he is hurt.
I know, and it's just like it feels like you're back to square one, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, quote the Raven.
All the
Never
time.
again.
Ugh.
How about best performer of the night?
Ooh, that's a toughie. The crowd.
I mean, crowd's great. Maybe, I mean, it's hard to not give it to Shane when Shane's on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, surprise the night, Spicolli and Smith, favorite match of the night, but best performance, I feel like it can only go to Shane Douglas.
Yeah,
But I'm willing to hear arguments.
I don't think you're gonna get an argument from me on that one.
Shane Douglas with Francine really like rising to the occasion and being shitty. She doesn't overdo it, but she's there.
New little panties that she debuted on the last show only made things better for her.
How about most surprising?
Missy Hyatt.
I mean,
I don't know.
It's not like she's been gone for a year.
I know she hasn't.
I mean-
but she hasn't. It feels like all.
I guess my most disappointing fact is also the most I was surprised Johnny beat Louie.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was surprised as well, but I wasn't mad because I was like, maybe he'll stick around. But I was like, I know he doesn't stick around because I would have known who he was.
I mean, there's a chance the people at this show had no clue that Dr. Death was the dream partner.
Yeah, which is cool.
So,
Man, that would have been disappointing as fuck.
I mean,
But
for
not
you,
for these guys.
for you,
For
maybe.
you, but not for these
Like,
guys.
I think it would have been pretty because when I mean, I didn't say this in best moments, but when Taz and Dr. Death match up and do some mat wrestling,
It is exciting.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because these two guys actually know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, and it's also funny because Dr. Death is like two Tazes,
Yeah.
and Taz still gets the win.
Jericho taking the loss was a surprise until I realized it was his last time in ECW, and then it made perfect sense.
Yeah, the issue with me was like when they said Bischoff sucked, I was like, oh well, Chris is leaving, so Chris is gonna lose because I knew that Too Cold had already had his chance, and they weren't gonna bring him back so quick because he wasn't new or exciting, and he also had about 30 more pounds on him. He did get better though. He doesn't make the mistakes that he did.
Get better.
He just signed that contract too early. He wasn't ready for big crowds. And those weren't the biggest WCW crowds, but they're bigger than any ECW crowd.
Making their way to the ring.
It's trivia time.
Uh-oh.
This week, the category is music of the mat.
Hit my music.
Break it down.
Bum, bum, bum. Are we going to buzz in?
Music.
You will definitely need to buzz in.
All right.
So I'm going to play a song, buzz in, and give me your guess. 3 points for the correct answer. And here is our song.
Oh,
Shane.
You got it off the fucking snare drum.
Why did my brain just suddenly go blank?
Oh, come on.
Because I only heard one note. Mr. Perfect.
That is correct. So that's 3 points for Shane.
Woo! Kurt Hennig, I'm gonna throw the towel in on you next time.
I apologize. It was not the perfect answer. I had to delay.
It's all right. I mean,
Say I was spitting my gum out and swatting it away or something in the meantime.
Well, we need to have the Mr. Perfect challenge where we have to shoot a basketball shot over the shoulder behind. What were the other ones?
Did he dive or swim or something like
I don't
that?
remember what all of them were.
Yeah, I remember the basketball one for sure.
Yeah. Something had to do with track and field, I think. Or he threw a perfect throw of a football.
Oh, I think maybe he hits a dart right at the bullseye or something. Yeah.
But it's been a few episodes since I gave a scoring update.
Shane's got my ass whipped.
So Michael has 40 points.
Shane has 62.
Shane has 69.
Oh.
Nice.
69, dudes.
We'll have another scoring update in a few episodes.
Yeah. I mean,
It's always fun to have that one. But next week, we're headed to Japan.
Uh-oh.
And we know we love our Japan wrestling.
Absolutely.
For the J Crown tournament.
A new tournament.
Shit's about to get crazy.
Basically, it's kind of if you want to count the Super J Cups, it's the trilogy of junior heavyweight tournaments that happened in the mid-90s. Because the next Super J Cup doesn't happen for a few years, so...
Okay.
They've been such big hits that Liger has ideas, and this is another new one.
Exactly. So, most of those matches... I know the final is on New Japan World, so you can go out there and watch it like that. I did have to find most of them...
From an old VHS tape.
It's an old VHS tape that I was able to find digitized.
And chances are, if it's an old VHS tape and it's not owned by the WWF, it's probably on YouTube.
There's a good chance. So
give it a look. J Crown 96.
That's right. Because, spoiler,
it's good.
It's very fun.
Yeah. You guys like moves?
No, exactly.
You like guys doing moves? And callbacks?
Exactly.
That are just moves?
So music for this week's show is Thunderkiss 65.
5-5.
Yeah.
By Rob Zombie. And Sabu won our main event, so we're going to play his theme music, Crazy, by Little Fight.
But that's just how it goes. Millions of people. Oh, sorry, I was thinking Crazy Train. Crazy Train. Yeah. I mean, I know the song.
Crazy for feeling so lonely.
Another good song. Both songs better than Sabu's theme song.
I mean, there's Crazy Aerosmith also.
Oh, also better
around
than
the same
Sabu's
time.
theme song.
Yep.
But if you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there, rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify.
Can you rate on Spotify?
I don't know.
Who knows? If you can do it.
That's right. If you can, do it.
If you can, please do, and then let us know that you did, so we know for sure that this shit works.
Hey, if you do a 5-star and let us know, maybe we'll shout you out if that means anything to you.
Yeah.
Very true.
As a thank you.
But you can do that, hopefully, wherever you find your podcast at. I mean, you can definitely find your podcast wherever you find your podcast at.
If there's a rating
But I
system,
mean,
be a
you're already
pal.
listening to a podcast, so you should know that you can find it. I've always thought that was silly whenever people say that.
Yeah. Hit the bell and subscribe.
Yeah.
I mean, hitting the bell and subscribe is good,
yeah.
but find the podcast wherever you find the podcast.
Duh.
you've already found the podcast.
Yes.
I mean, unless you're literally listening to it on our SoundCloud page, and then I guess it's not a...
Yeah. But it's not 2012.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you're still listening on SoundCloud, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. You got a smartphone. You got it. Everybody does. Download the app.
If you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Recipes, drink ideas. You have a hatred for Dr. Death Steve Williams like I do, or if you want to tell me just to shut the fuck up, you should like jump on Twitter and say,
maybe.
hey Shane.
Maybe you have the best 5 Dr. Death matches we should watch.
Yeah. Change my mind. Hit me up on Twitter. Let us know.
hey, Shane, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No.
Stop.
I will change that password right now.
But you can do that at our email at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX. We'll talk to you next week.
Laters.
Shout out Gangsters.
Which ones?
One DX.
Okay.